Yeah, I find it very strange that Mitt Romney all of a sudden came out and said that he was just going to support Donald Trump's pick for the Supreme Court. The reason I say this is he had been pandering in the past about not supporting it. And again, he has this track record of basically doing whatever he can to oppose the president. That's been a strong suit of his for quite some time. But it matters for a reason. If there is one element of the federal government that impacts the American people to the greatest degree, that is the United States Supreme Court. It's due to the fact that they are appointed and that they can serve for life so long as they are in good behavior. And it's a very rare thing that we've ever had a Supreme Court justice impeached. It has happened, but it is a very rare circumstance. And sometimes their tenure on the bench can go for decades. Take the now late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She had been nominated for the Supreme Court by President Bill Clinton back in 1993, and she had served all the way until her 87th year of life and her death just recently. Therefore, she's had a lot of impact on the court. She's seen a lot of things that have happened, a lot of changing elements within society, and indeed the Supreme Court itself always has a disproportionate impact and effect on American culture and society. It's changed things to a great degree. Now, what the left is really concerned about here is they think that this is going to be some sort of reactionary thing where they're going to lose everything. And, of course, what is their paramount interest and concern with this? Well, it's abortion. That's their biggest push. It's been their biggest push for the longest time. And, of course, they also want to have a justice who is anti-Second Amendment, just as Ruth Bader Ginsburg was. And of course, you're not going to get that while President Trump is in office. Of course, the Democrats are trying to pull a stunt where they say that the Republicans, in order to maintain decorum, should not proceed with the nomination process and the confirmation process. But the difference between what we're seeing right now and what had happened with the death of Antonin Scalia back in 2016 is that it's not a split party issue as it was then. Barack Obama controlled the presidency at the time in 2016 when he wanted to nominate Merrick Garland, and the Republicans were in full control of the United States Senate. So that type of split party was a rare thing. And indeed, it hadn't at the time occurred in over 80 years. When it was split, it would wait until the next president. When there are two branches of the federal government that are held by the same political party, it's historically set that they usually go ahead and pass and confirm the nominee for the highest court in the land. Of course, the change of the ideological makeup of the Supreme Court is one of the paramount concerns that the Democrats have, and they are seeing this as an opportunity where the Republicans can change the legal trajectory and thereby the cultural trajectory of the United States for generations. And so that's their fear. But it's illogical. It's an illogical fear. The country is not going to fall apart because we have a certain ideological bent on the Supreme Court. It hasn't thus far. And our founding fathers, in their sagacity, created our federal government in the form and fashion that they did in order to ensure that the Supreme Court would not be a political branch. They are supposed to be separate, distinct, and apart from the political happenings and the political fads that develop in the country. This always gets lost in the woodwork, partially, again, because we have ceded and afforded far too much power and authority to the federal government. And as a direct result of that, we're watching the Democrats fear as though they are losing their grip on power. And truth be told, I don't care whether they lose their grip on power. I mean, yes, I'd like for them to. I'd like for them to be less powerful, to be less influential, especially now that they have gone so far out in the woodworks on the left that they are communists. They are nothing short of communists, and this is what they have been doing the whole time. It's a subversion. It's attempting to tear down what the United States of America is and what the United States of America stands for. Look at all of the examples that we've seen since the passing of George Floyd back on May 26th of this year, with the riots, the looting, the destruction that has been going on consecutively and incessantly since that day. They are literally out in the streets of these United States of America chanting death to America. This is not a movement that cares about our freedoms, our rights, and our liberties. They never have, and they never will. And that's just a reality that we have to face. It's a reality that we have to accept, because day in and day out, they are going to double down on their efforts to dismantle this country, because deep down they loathe and despise this country. And I think maybe Mitt Romney sees that. I mean, I've never liked the man. I've never thought that he was good for the country. I never thought he did anything that wasn't politically expedient for himself. But having him make this statement, and if he stays true to it, again, I don't trust the man, good. It means that the Republicans will have the vote to get the nomination through. And that is how the pillars of our Federalist Representative Republic ought to work. It is how it works. It is what we want to see happen. And Democrats be damned. If they're going to play these games, well, that's on them. It's not barred in any way, shape, or form by the clear and concise language contained within the four corners of the United States Constitution. And they can, gnash their teeth and wail and do all of the shenanigans that they have been doing, but it doesn't change the fact that there is no constitutional precedent that would prevent the 45th President of the United States of America from having the Senate proceed with the selection, nomination, and confirmation processes. That's just how our system works. It's how our civic history has played out time and again, dating right back to the inception of this country nearly 2.5 centuries ago. So, again, we are watching the Democrats attempting to obstruct the proper constitutional process and function of our government. And that's something we need to keep in mind as we move ever closer to the election. And that is fast approaching. It really is. So they can wail and complain all they want. It does not change the fact that the Supreme Court is going to get its nominee. Maybe before the inauguration, it might not be before the election, but I agree with Ted Cruz on this one. I think we need to have this wrapped up and in the bag before the election ends, because we don't want there to be any room for a failure to come up or something that could prolong this or disrupt this and allow the Democrats to get away with stealing this opportunity from the Republicans.